Hi, today I wanted to talk about cluster B personality disorders. It's kind of a random topic if you've never heard about them. And to start off, I'm not a psychologist. I study computer science, so nothing close. This is just from my personal experience and kind of tackling my own confusion whilst navigating life and relationships. So, cluster B personality disorders, based on the DSM-5, have 4 types: antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic. Okay, so these 4 types all fall into the cluster B personality disorder category. And to start out, the technical definition of this is it's somebody who has a group of mental health conditions characterized by dramatic, overly emotional, or erratic thinking and behavioral patterns. Okay, these people struggle with impulse control, emotional regulation, and maintaining stable personal relationships. Okay, and I've got a lot to say about this. I think it's something that everybody needs to be aware of as we're navigating relationships and as we are kind of maintaining that energy bubble where we can discern and make wise choices with who we interact with and how those interactions are conducted. Okay, understanding manipulation, understanding certain behavioral patterns which can be dangerous. Okay, and this isn't to shame anyone who has been diagnosed with these disorders or who maybe resonates with one of these personality disorders, because really when it comes to interacting, like I've spoken about in my energy resonance video, the only reason why somebody with that going on in their personality is because it's a reflection and it's actually matching up and mirroring something. If not mirroring, then it's magnetizing and like kind of filling a void for each other, and I'll get into that later. So really, I mean, there's no blame here. It's really just becoming more aware and realizing how we each play a part in this dynamic. So let me explain. Antisocial, the first category of the cluster B personality disorders. Antisocial will exhibit disregard and violation of others' emotional and physical rights. Recklessness, lack of empathy, manipulation, and exploitation of others for personal gain. Okay, I definitely didn't see that coming with antisocial. I think a lot of cultural connotation with that, it was just kind of way out in left field in my opinion. Borderline is characterized as having deep fear of abandonment and eliciting or exhibiting intensity and impulsivity in their behavioral patterns and in their thought patterns. So number 3, histrionic. Okay, this is a really important one. So the histrionic cluster B personality disorders will be very dramatic, very theatrical. Okay, overwhelming desire to be noticed. They seek attention and their emotions are rapidly changing from one thing to the next. And narcissistic, the 4th. Okay, I feel like a lot of us know a little bit about this. We hear a lot about it in psychology, and if you're a YouTube addict like myself, then you know what I'm talking about. So narcissistic cluster B personality disordered people, they have an over-exaggerated sense of their own importance. Okay, in their mind, they deserve special treatment, and they really do see themselves as top-notch. Okay, grandiosity. need for constant admiration. They have this air of entitlement, but they also have a lack of empathy, which is very easy to see. It's a very deep selfishness. So these type of personality disorders existing in people and their personality, which of course is malleable, like the video I shared about how our personality is very malleable and we can change it through repetition and through awareness. So that's really what it's all about here. But these people absolutely have volatile relationships categorized by intensity and erratic behavior. So very intense, okay. And the types of people who will find themselves in relationships with cluster B personality disordered people are people pleasers. And I'm mostly talking about romantic relationships here, but this can be family relationships or friends or anything, any type of relationship. So specifically within the context of a romantic relationship, this can be chaotic, up and down, rapidly changing, just absolutely erratic and volatile. Sometimes it can seem like you didn't really do anything, but you're just prized as this amazing person, and then other times you're just the absolute scum of the earth. And that's really what I want to bring attention to today, is that in the beginning, okay, when you're in a relationship with a cluster B personality disordered person, they have severe childhood trauma, okay? It's very likely that they are going to have severe psychological damage from things that they've gone through in their early life or in their young adult life. And I believe that having compassion is a natural consequence or result of kind of understanding this and having this awareness that the damage that this person must have had to go through and endure. Anyways, so people pleasers magnetize towards these people, okay? And I want to quote from this book. It's called Whole Again by Jackson Mackenzie. People pleasers often have no idea what they want, what their needs are, or what their boundaries look like. Everything is just about making sure others are happy. They can view any issue from another person's perspective, making excuses for others while offering themselves none of the same flexibility. Cluster B relationships are often the ultimate wake-up call that this does not work, making people pleasers' inner world so uncomfortable and painful that they are finally forced to pay attention to it. So cluster B experiences with these people can be very eye-opening for someone who is codependent, someone who is more of a people pleaser and who has insecurities and who kind of hides from themselves in a way. So I want to read on about, about how cluster B individuals, how they relate to love, and kind of what this relationship will start out as. So in the beginning, it is absolute love bombing, and they use the term, mirroring. Yeah, they use the term mirroring to kind of show how they watch the person first, see what their interests are, what their passions are, how they see the world, and then they're going to mirror that in order to kind of capture this person's attention and really make them think that they are just the best thing ever. And they also shower you with love and gifts and affection and all of the stuff that just makes it seem perfect. It makes it seem, it's totally idealization, yes. It is delusions of grandeur. They might say, oh, you're the best thing. I've been wanting to find someone like you for my entire life. I've been waiting for you. You check this box, this box, this box. We're going to have the best life. Things are going to be like this, and lay out vivid imagery and describe emotional states that are going to come from this relationship. And really, they just lay out the red carpet of grandeur of how phenomenal your life's going to be. And they're showing up in this incredible way, and they're praising and love bombing so much. They put you on this pedestal. The disordered individual seems to love and need you more than any partner you've known. They latch on, mimicking your hopes and dreams, even mirroring your vocal and texting mannerisms. Of course, you don't know this is happening because you don't know what cluster B disorders are. You're just freely falling in love, grateful to have found this amazing soulmate. But inevitably, things take a turn for the worse. This person becomes controlling, manipulative, critical, dismissive, and unfaithful. Possibly. Could be unfaithful, could not be unfaithful, but most of the time, they're unfaithful. They do hurtful things and then blame you for reacting. They do hurtful things and then blame you for reacting. You desperately keep trying to recreate the original perfect dynamic, this original sensation of being up on a pedestal and somebody just absolutely praising you. And it's not really that you even wanted to be up on that pedestal. Like, you didn't even ask for that. You didn't expect that. That was not at all what you were looking for. But that happened, and with that, it felt so great. You desperately keep trying to recreate the original perfect dynamic, wondering where in the world that person went. You are punished with the silent treatment and other painful behaviors. Every time you're feeling ready to leave, your partner swoops back in with promises that remind you of the person they used to be. So when you're going through this cycle of love bomb visions and wonderful romanticizing the future, and then criticizing, dismissing, abusive tendencies, rejection, criticism, nitpicking, like under a microscope. I mean, this cognitive dissonance that is created when you go from up on this pedestal and you're just beaming and you're so happy and you're like, yes, I found the best relationship and I finally found someone who is going to treat me well and all of these things, that it can absolutely seem perfect. It seems perfect. And then it swings, this pendulum swings so rapidly to the other side, where you're being, nitpicked to no end, criticize everything you do, everything you think. And they plant tiny seeds of doubt. Starting from the beginning of the relationship, they plant these seeds of doubt in all the things that you love. I mean, the parts of your identity, your passions, your hobbies, the little things you do that make you you. And slowly over time, they water these seeds. They slowly dismantle and break apart the root structure of who you are, of your identity, and the things that make you happy, the things that you love, the things that you like. And slowly, it's like they might say something like judging or criticizing someone who does literally the exact same thing that you're doing or that you like to do. For example, I have a immense fascination with extraterrestrials. I absolutely love the idea of open contact and disclosure, and so that's just, my heart's passion. And seeds of doubt from the beginning, it might have been like I don't know, if that really makes sense, or like, I'm not really sure if that's the most mature thing to really be spending your time doing, or, well, I wouldn't believe everything you hear. I mean, you never know if any of that stuff is like a psyop. And it's like, oh yeah, well, that's perfectly fine commentary. I mean, totally, I agree with all of that. But then over time, it's like, even turning on a UFO documentary is like an instant fight, because it's like, why are you watching that? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, devaluing, criticizing, rejecting, and just cruel over the smallest things. But it's these little fragments of your personal power, these little fragments of you that are slowly dismantled and just crushed and annihilated. And it does feel like you're on a, hospital table being examined, like ripped apart under a microscope, and just like going through every little thing about you, like, nope, that's not good, nope, that's not good, nope, And the reason why subconsciously this person does that is because they put you on this pedestal, and nothing is going to fill that void for them, that inner void, but them. And that leads me to how they, because of the psychological damage, the childhood trauma, or the different things that this person who suffers with this most likely faced, those experiences, it built a foundation and infrastructure of their own personhood, where love is actually control. So how much control they can elicit, how much control they can gather, is the love. And that's why if you have experience with this type of personality disorder, they will feel so much relief when you just crumble, and you're so confused and sad and hurt and broken down. I don't think it's conscious for them, but they will. You can see it washes over them, like, control is restored. I have the control. Then that means kind of what a person with a healthy relationship dynamic would feel when they have that connectedness and that love sensation. So there's another really good part in this book that I wanted to reference in regard to the love versus control. Okay, similar to an addict, they believe that external factors will fill that void. So they are constantly looking outward for attention and adoration. This also explains the delusions of grandeur, as their disorder convinces them that unlimited power or fame or money or the perfect relationship will finally fill that void. This false self is always seeking external validation, blaming outwardly when the void is inevitably not filled. Like a black hole, they will suck the energy out of you until you have nothing left to offer. Then discard you and blame you because the void is still there. The narrative of you will always change depending on how they feel. With time, you must come to understand that this cycle had nothing to do with you. You were neither the perfect savior put on a pedestal from the idealization period in the beginning, nor the crazy partner from the devaluation period. And like I said, it's kind of like a volatile cycle within the relationship that ebbs and flows between those two rapidly, swaps, which can cause cognitive dissonance and is extremely damaging to both parties. You were seen as a solution to their void. You were put on a pedestal, and you failed to fill the void because no external factor can. So you were devalued and cast aside. As you begin to understand the sheer magnitude of psychological damage required to cause such disordered thinking, you realize that no amount of your love or anyone else's can fill their void, because it is a void centered around a protective self. They never attach to you. despite all of their sweeping words, which is why they try to intensely manufacture all the normal feelings of love and bonding, and it's also why they are able to detach and do the same thing to someone else in one day. That's really important to note, the intensely manufacturing of normal feelings of love and bonding. This person will always be showcasing their thought patterns of how they're comparing your relationship with somebody else, or in the devaluation, it'll always be like, oh, well, this person's wife does that, or this person's girlfriend, she does that, like clearly comparing and devaluing you through their criticism of others or through their praising of others. It's like everything is kind of geared and manufactured this way, and they're really just trying to facilitate that love. They're trying to facilitate that love. So a lot of times I feel like people like that will try to say, we should do this or we should do that, and those are great things to do, but they're done from the intention of, because I don't feel this without it. Like, for example, some bonding experience, like some kind of, say for example, like a ceremony that you do with a partner that symbolizes your love or that might bring you closer. That person wants to do those things from the intention platform of, I feel nothing and I want to feel something. I want to feel connected. I want to feel love. Instead of, I already feel that way, let's just do this to make a statement or to make it even better. Cluster B disordered individuals are incapable of attaching to other human beings, so they hone all of these other skills, such as seduction, flattery, mirroring, all in an attempt to mimic what they see other people doing, loving each other. The problem is they see love as receiving constant attention and adoration, and this is what they give to you, and this is what they want to receive in return. So he goes on to talk about how control is sought after. It's the dismantling of the self, what makes you you, an individual, and what makes you shine and be vibrant. Those things they do want to subconsciously or consciously stamp out, because that's what makes you, like, you're in your zone, you're in your power, right? And they see that as a threat for their control, which in their mind, in their infrastructure of how they see the world, their worldview, and their sense of self, love is control. So when they lose control, they lose love. And this is kind of how they see you. They see you as something to fill that void. And when you don't, you're useless. So they're constantly cycling between these pedestal devaluation. And it can be really confusing because the people pleaser, insecure person who attracted that type of relationship, they want so badly to get back to that original place. And that's absolutely thrown in their face every time they say, you know what, this is not healthy. I think we should separate. I think we should maybe break up. Whenever that is said, then it's, you're amazing, you're wonderful, and I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. And we're so close to this amazing life, and we're so close to having this dream perfect existence together, and this is the things we're going to do, and these are things we're going to experience together and see and feel, and we're so close to that, so just forgive me. And of course, people pleasers, their mentality is, oh, well, it was probably my fault anyways, so yeah, totally, like, let's keep going, because however you responded, whatever abusive, cruel things were done or said, must have been the people pleaser's fault, right? Because that's the way they think. They're like, oh, well, it must have been my fault. So, to quote this book again, people coming out of cluster B relationships carry a misery about them that no one else seems to understand. The standard breakup advice of time heals all wounds or just get over it doesn't seem to apply. Instead, it's like they've been disconnected from the things that make life worth living. Their natural joy and love has disappeared, replaced by constant anxiety and self-doubt. These relationships start out better than anything you've ever experienced. So, Karpman drama triangle is what it is called in psychology. When someone is made to feel worthless or powerless, they tend to take on the victim identity, which makes them feel as if they need to be rescued, which attracts rescuers who have major issues of their own. And victims also attract more dangerous people who use charm and sympathy to play the knight in shining armor role. Alternatively, codependents may also become rescuers themselves. By saving others and obsessing about their problems, they gain false confidence to distract from their own severely damaged self-worth. This attracts victims who will never learn how to be independently happy when they have a rescuer. The rescuer feels safe, knowing the damaged person needs them. The rescuer also attracts dangerous people who prey on their constant giving. This is often called the drama triangle because everyone is distracted from their own unresolved baggage and instead act out a completely misguided fantasy. It is inevitably doomed to fail, with everyone's negative self-beliefs reinforced. Nobody is growing or learning. No matter how much the rescuer does, it will never be enough to cure the victim's inner issues, which reinforces the rescuer's fear of not enough. The rescuer ends up resenting the victim, who will then feel persecuted again, reinforcing their fear of being powerless, and the cycle repeats itself. So this cycle, it's rapidly going between these stages of romanticizing, idealization, delusions of grandeur, and things are going to be like this, and this is the image and the visceral sensation that is being built up and hyped up, and it's going to cycle between that and devaluation, rejection, and criticism. And so I wanted to end by saying, if you feel that you have encountered a relational experience with someone who has cluster B personality, I definitely advise you to educate yourself on those things and to start finding your passion again and finding your magic and joy for life, because those things can absolutely be diminished, and work on the aspect of you that attracted that situation, the people-pleasing, the insecure, but it will provide the clarity that you need to understand what's going on. And when you take a step back, it helps you to see clearer that, okay, this was my part. These are the things that I did wrong. And this activated something in them, and they activated something in me, and we magnetized each other, and all the clarity and understanding that, like I said, sending that person love, and that they will understand that they deserve love just the way that they are, and they don't need to grasp for it, and they don't need to have all these layers of dysfunction. And I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really know what some of the intricacies of that. But as somebody who's experienced that, stepping away, getting some clarity, can understand that that's that person's work, not ours. It's not mine. It's their work, their job to fix, and that they absolutely can. And yeah. Let me know in the comments if any of this made sense, and I hope that this can reach someone who is maybe really confused in their relationship and they just are lost from some of these erratic behaviors. And like I said, this is a really good resource. it jumped out at me at the library. So, okay. Thank you. Bye.